Make your gavel.
Welcome. This is the ISD 709 Duluth Public Schools. This is our regularly scheduled monthly school board meeting. It is Tuesday, July 23rd. It is 6:33. We welcome all of us that are here in our facility this evening, and we also know that we upload our regularly scheduled meetings onto our district's YouTube site. So we can always find a meeting to watch for the Duluth Public Schools. So again, this is the regularly monthly scheduled meeting for Duluth Public Schools. I'll turn it over to Clerk Sadowski, who will take roll.
Member Banks?
Here.
Member Eder? Here. Member Lofbergen? Here. Member Lothal?
Here.
Member Lexel? Here. And here. Member Williams? Here. Superintendent Agus?
Here.
Assistant Superintendent Bounds?
Present.
Executive Director of HR and Operations Severs? Here. Board Secretary Paquette? Here. And Student School Board Representative Megan? Here. Perfect. And then our other student school board representatives, David Mitzko and Neil Patrons are excused.
Thank you. Let's rise if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go on to the approval of the agenda, I'll ask Member Meixel to review our civility board.
Yeah, here we at Duluth Public Schools, our mission is every student every day will be empowered with learning opportunities for growth, creativity, and curiosity in preparation for their future in the global community. Our vision provides an our vision is that Duluth Public Schools will provide an academically engaging, safe, and inclusive environment with high expectations and responsible use of resources. The 11 tools of civility are recognized by the board. They will help provide increased opportunities for civil discourse in order to find positive resolutions to the issues that face our community. These tools include 1, pay attention, 2, listen, 3, be inclusive, 4, don't gossip, 5, show respect, 6, be agreeable, 7, apologize, 8, give constructive criticism, 9, take responsibility, 10, be honest and care for others, and 11, show your evidence and share your reasoning.
Thank you, Member Meixel. I'm looking for a motion to approve our agenda tonight,
So moved.
and I'm looking for a second.
Second.
So it is Member Williams that makes the motion, and it's approved by Member Derek Eder. All those in favor of approval of our agenda tonight, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Next is moving on to number 5. It is our school and community recognition. So the podium will move center stage.
Sure. On camera. You got it.
So good afternoon or good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Members of the board, it's an honor today. Earlier today, we gathered, and we're gathering again to recognize and honor an extraordinary individual, Ms. Portia Johnson, whose unwavering commitment to justice, equality, has left an indelible mark on our community. Today with us, we have her youngest son, and his family. Here to receive this recognition with us. They were here earlier today as well. Portia's journey showcased her resilience and dedication to the civil rights movement and to the pursuit of social justice. From her earlier years, she displayed relentless drive to challenge systemic injustices. Her work with the NAACP and other civil rights organizations exemplified her leadership and courage. Portia's advocacy for education, equal opportunities, has transformed the lives of countless individuals, creating a legacy of empowerment. Portia helped start the IAAA, or IAAA, also known as the Institute for African American Awareness. And during an interview in 2016, she was asked about her experience with the IAAA and its efforts to build a community for African Americans here in Duluth. Let's hear Portia let's hear about it from Portia's own voice.
It's very exciting because we were educating our children, our own children. I did the history, tutorial, so that I did some of that for a while, but because we felt like, and I still feel that way, the schools are not educating our children like they should be. And they didn't talk about Black history. They didn't talk about anything that Blacks did, or Native Americans did, or Latin people did. They never talked about those things in school. They didn't even show pictures of that stuff. So that's what we took it into our own hands, and that's what IAAA was about.
Thank you.
Words.
Portia Johnson's story is one of determination and hope. She fought for her rights and the rights of others, and she's a beacon and has been one for inspiration for generations to come. Her contributions to civil rights remind us that change is possible when we stand united. Unfortunately, Portia transitioned over the weekend. Our thoughts, condolences, and prayers are with her friends and family. Mrs. Portia Johnson will always be remembered for her tireless efforts and enduring impact. Her legacy will continue to inspire us all to strive for a more just and equitable society. I want to say thank you. Also, if you would like to say some words to your family, you can use the floor.
I'd like to thank you all for remembering my mother for the things that she's done, things that she did in the past. It's eye-opening to hear all the kind words and to see the impact that she really had on this community. And I mentioned before that growing up, you don't really see it. I see her as someone who, hey, can I get some lunch money? Can you give me a ride someplace? No, walk up the hill. Can I get a work? Can you give me a ride to work? No, take the DTA. That was the things that I saw. Never really seen, this kind of fight that she was doing for everybody else. And it's eye-opening, and I appreciate it very much. All the kind words and the dedication that's out there with her road. That means a lot. And my girls here, they can see it. And I think it means a lot to them too. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Want to say any direction?
Can we get your wife in that picture, please?
Yes. We can help you going up there. Thank you.
Again, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, of course, you have all the words in it. Your words are priceless, so thank you. Congratulations on all of the organization. Thank you.
I'll do it.
Do it now.
I'll do it.
You just put the podium away, but you
Can I just stand here?
Yes, you can.
So I wanted to just real quickly take time to publicly thank the school board and the administration for their kindness to me when I was dealing with some very serious health issues back in April. The public doesn't know this, but some of you know this on the board that I almost lost my life and had to have emergency surgery. And so receiving the flowers and the cards from the district and the school board meant a lot to me. And I just wanted to publicly thank you for that. And I'll always remember that. Thank you.
So moving on, thank you, thanks for your words. We're moving on to our agenda item number 6, it's the report of the superintendent, and under that 6, we've got A, reports from our student school board reps, our superintendent's report, and then just a brief schedule of meetings and events coming up. So I'll turn it over to Superintendent Mavis.
Thank you. And let me just pull this up, my apologies. All right. So thank you. I think that this is a very, very important day. And I want to extend that thanks back to you, Member Banks. I don't think that we would have had the event that we had today without your thoughtfulness and your leadership and what you did to help us put this together. You're a very valued board member and member of the community, and thank you for helping us celebrate the important work and life of Portia Johnson. So we always review our mission and vision and core values, and those you see on our screen as well, but these are things that we really value and think about on a regular basis. That every student, every day, will be empowered with learning opportunities for growth, creativity, and curiosity in preparation for their future in a global community. And our vision is that Duluth Public Schools provides an academically engaging, safe, and inclusive environment with high expectations and responsible use of resources. And then you see our core values of learning, excellence, equity, collaboration, and belonging. Tonight we have a variety of topics. Of course, our student reports. We have a facilities update on solar, facilities update on some of the Lowell traffic issues. So those are kind of continuation of items that we talked about last time. Some leadership updates, a little bit on the superintendent evaluation, and then if there's anything else to discuss. But we always start with, we eat our dessert first by hearing from our students and hearing our student reports. And Ms. Miller has been on summer break, but I imagine she might have a thing or two to share with us.
Okay, hi. So today I'll start with talking about Summer Dash. This month's week has been named as, the first week was named as Eco Week. There was a field trip at Park Point sailing, which was super exciting and a lot of new experiences for most. There was gardening with the community and geocaching. The next week was Performance Week, focused on Shauna Heckman, music programming and production, where the students bring their own beats and music to performing Friday at Whistles on July 19. The next week was local Cultural Connections Week, which is the week where the Zeitgeist Film Club production allows the students to make a film and premiere on Friday the 26th. Along with these week activities, the go-to activities are still happening, like ballroom dancing, men as peacemakers, Boys and Girls Club, Field Day with NYS, Board Games, D&D, Duluth Public Library, crafts, and Haley's Gratitude Group, so there's a lot happening. Denfeld's calendar is always booked, as well as with sports and students using the school during the summer to better themselves with summer school and sports. Just like fitness training Monday through Thursdays at 6 a.m., as well as soccer, dance, basketball, volleyball, football, cross country, lacrosse, and open gym daily, and more. The Summer Transitions Academy is starting up very soon on July 29th, and the school is very excited to see how this will offer the upcoming high schoolers more opportunities. Some more Dunfeld updates on lots of hiring for upcoming school year, getting the summer mailing ready to homes and families with information and forms. Hunter kickoff on Wednesday, August 28th from 5 to 8, and 9th grade orientation is on Thursday, August 29th from 9 to 1. And that is my update for today. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Thank you. Can I just, it was funny, I was at Denfeld the other day and I was upstairs on the second floor and I was hearing this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm thinking, what's going on? And it was, and there's some, but I just thought, and so when I came down to first floor there, the instructors are for Dash with a number of students working out dance. It looked like they were doing some classical, types of refreshers or different things, but to hear the cadence of going, it doesn't sound like dance line cadence. And I knew that they weren't in the building, they had been there earlier, but so thank you for all of those Dash activity updates, so we know that it's not just drudgery to go into school in the summer, that there's a lot of fun happening, so thanks.
Thank you. So, starting with a few facilities updates. I know last time we had a lot of conversation about solar, and we heard about solar from our students in significant detail, as well as from some staff members. And I just wanted to say how much we appreciated the student community support as we move forward with responsible renewable energy practices. Although this grant that we're focusing on is not our first solar project, we already have solar at Lowell. We hope that this represents a new phase with additional solar opportunities for the district. So we are finalizing our pre-grant application for the solar projects, and there's been a lot of work being done around this behind the scenes. And the grant is due actually on the 25th, the pre-grant. So it's an opportunity for us to submit what we propose to do, and then we hear back from the state as far as where that goes, and then we can move forward with additional work and identifying our sites. Right now we're looking at a couple of different places. I know we're putting a new roof on Stowe, so that might be a possibility. And we also heard from our students as well that Lincoln Park could potentially be a good site. So we're looking at a couple of different places right now as we think about how to be more thoughtful in our responsible use of solar. And I know that the board in particular, even though solar power is not the core practice of schools is focused on learning, we have felt as a board and as a school district that we want to be participating in this. And we think it's also something that our community values, and I'm proud to see the work going forward on this. I would also say that we look forward to sharing additional updates for the board as well as the public as we learn more about the process and hear back from the state and the other entities that are involved. And finally, I would like to say that we're incredibly proud of the great examples of student leadership, tenacity, and civic mindedness that our students have shown in making this a reality. I think sometimes when you're functioning in administration, you don't want to be the bureaucratic block to good ideas. And it was nice to see that the students worked incredibly hard to find flexible ways of supporting us and encouraging us and finding ways for us to do what's right for the district and for the community. So we look forward to hearing more. As far as Lowell Elementary School, we continue to work with St. Louis County and area stakeholders to address the traffic issues that we've seen there. Last month, as you know, when we shared at the meeting, we had a community meeting where we took input. We also at that meeting solicited additional input, and people shared their input. A lot of emails came through to the county and to our facilities department, and we've looked at those options. We've met again with some county officials to further consider options based on that great amount of community input on Monday. And I want to say thanks to members Loeffler Kemp and Mike Sell. Member Sadowski has been involved as well, but the two main representing folks for the area have been Loeffler Kemp and Mike Sell for participating in this. And then today, Member Mike Sell and our facilities manager Brian Brown, myself, and the manager of Aspenwood, Andrew, we toured the area and looked at some different possibilities there. We will be finalizing with the county what our next initial steps will be in the next couple of weeks. But this issue is likely to involve a variety of solutions. I think that's one thing we learned through this process. There's no one silver bullet, so to speak. It's going to be a variety of things that we'll have to consider, from slowing down the speed on the road, to considering traffic lights or traffic circles, to potentially using different areas to access and have student drop-off, as well as thinking about our neighbors at Aspenwood and making sure that we're not blocking traffic for them. So there's a lot to it, and I think that's part of the reason why it's taken a little while. This has been a lingering issue for years and years, and I look forward to having this be something that is improved upon for the safety of our students and as just members of this community. As far as a few leadership updates, we're facilitating multiple leadership training opportunities. We have a cabinet work session all day next Monday, basically focusing on where we are with our plans for the year, looking at our action cards, looking at that progress monitoring calendar draft that we'll share with the board at our committee of the whole. Then we have in August, on the 13th, 14th, and 15th, a series of meetings. Duluth leadership team, that's all leaders in the district, not just principals. Sometimes I think leadership, we tend to think about the academic, we think about what's going on in the schools, and that's a lot of the work. But we have a lot of other leaders in the district. We have our transportation department, our facilities department, our food service department, our human resources, our finance departments, as well as the teaching and learning department and our principals. We all get together, and part of that is in the spirit of making sure that we have a shared, clear vision and culture as a district moving forward. And then the next day we have Principal Plus, which is basically our principals from elementary and secondary, as well as the instructional leaders working then. And then on the following day, there's kind of a split, so that the elementary is focusing on elementary topics and the secondary is focused on secondary for the instructional leadership teams. And Mr. Bonds and his team do a lot of work in leading those efforts. We all work together on it, but when I think about Principal Plus and elementary and secondary leadership team, it's largely Assistant Superintendent Bonds and our directors that do that work, as well as the support team there. So a lot of good work. I think if I were to summarize things in just a couple of sentences, I'd say that we rolled out our strategic plan this past fall, and we did do some good work in that direction, but I also think that we had a lot of work focusing on the referendum. And this year we're doubling down on our strategic plan, making sure that we all put our shoulders back into it and continue to make even more effort in that direction. And I think you'll be impressed with the work that you see coming forward from our teams. And again, these next couple of slides are repeats from my report last time, but in the three areas: supporting every student, advancing equity, and improving systems. This year we'll be really focusing on core instruction, positive behavior interventions and supports, and professional learning communities. Those will be the student support areas, and you see the details under there. But sometimes it's important to repeat things that are key and really important. As far as advancing equity, we'll be focusing on our equity education framework, as well as family and community engagement. And then under improving systems, this will be a challenge for us to consider, but really think about our budget reduction and reallocation processes when we think about finance, and also think about our recruiting and retaining efforts, as well as safety and facilities improvements. So those are all, We try and distill it down to the simple. Sometimes they say that the complex is easy and the simple is hard to get to, but we wanted to make sure that we're clear about what it is that we're focusing on this year in those 3 areas. As far as next steps, we're working on our 24-25 progress monitoring calendar. We would bring that to the board as a draft, of course, so that if there were other things that the board would like us to bring forward through the committee of the whole, that would be important. But really, this is our way of having a regular check-in on doing the things that we say we'll do. We also want to make sure that we're sharing our action cards. Those will be shared at the August committee of the whole, would be our plan, or the September, August committee of the whole. It would be our hope, possibly September. But we would at least be sharing the progress monitoring calendar and the details there. And then thinking about our board work. I know that we've talked about having an August work session. I know that there's some needs to have a work session related to budget. I think that would be something that we would want to talk about. I also know that we've talked about some things like bidding process and thinking about governance in general and how we're working together. But I think it would be important as we consider our 3-year board plan, what is it that we want to focus on in a workshop opportunity in August. And then, last but not least, my superintendent evaluation will be tonight in closed session with the board. And I wanted to remind the public that I have 3 goals for the year. The first goal was standard 2 under school district finances, and it was element 2D, bond and levy campaigns. Standard 3 was communication and community relationships with a focus on element 3F, which is visibility and approachability in the community. And then standard 6, which was teaching and learning, was element 6B, focusing on school improvement. So those are the things that I've worked with the board on, and just so that the community knows, we use the Minnesota School Board Association process, and there's actually a book and a link that we use that's basically goals and standard-based superintendent evaluation. One of the most important things that the board does is hold me accountable for district action through the evaluation process. And so that is very important to me, and I take that feedback to the board extremely seriously and really work it into how I do my work and how I work with my teams and how they function. So that, just so that the public understands, I think sometimes the public thinks that the board gets involved in all the details of the administration and the work there, and there is involvement and there is knowledge, but much of it comes down to the nexus between the board and the superintendent and holding me deeply accountable for outcomes, and that's something that I take very seriously. The board, after its closed session, there's opportunity for the board chair to summarize the thoughts of the board, and then the normal process is at the next regular board meeting, or at the next board meeting, public board meeting, the board chair shares a summary of the evaluation. So that's for the public and for the board, just a reminder of where we'll be working on things. Any questions or comments? All right.
Member Lockwood, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I always give that waiting time, yes.
I look forward to our evaluation with you, but I also just really appreciate the work that's been done on the solar project, and of course also on the Lowell updates. But I know many of us have been hearing from students on the solar project for the last couple of years, and from community members, and I know it meant a lot of extra work in a short amount of time with this proposed grant, but really appreciate us as a district looking at it and taking the feedback from the community and our students seriously, and let's be really hopeful, cross our fingers that we can move forward in another meaningful way. So thank you for sharing that update, and to the staff, I know some of the staff that are here that have been working on it for putting the extra time that it has taken. So thank you.
Thank you.
And just to follow up on that solar project, there's a couple of things. We have solar at Lowell.
Yes.
That's kind of, I didn't know that. Did I miss it? What is it? Do we know?
It's just a few.
Well, go ahead.
It's just a few panels. It's
Oh,
not,
it is?
it's not a large array.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's a start, so that's good. And then if it wouldn't be too much of a bother, it would be interesting to just have a copy of the actual grant or a place, if you just link us to the state the state's guidelines, or I think it would just be interesting to see what the grant looks like as you are working to complete it. Don't have to do it right now or anything, but I just, we've had a lot of conversation about, what is the grant entailing? We've had that question about the curriculum, and I know all of that can be answered after the grant is, I hope, accepted by our state and we get it in, but I'm just curious what the grant looks like. So, just a request somewhere down the line.
Can I follow up on that? My understanding is it's really a two-step process. It's a pre-grant,
Right.
which is a short version, and then based on what we hear, then the longer version will happen, right?
Yes, so the pre-grant is due on the 25th, and that's considerably shorter, and so we were able to get that done. It's always a challenge in the summer a little bit with timelines, and quite often during the summer, particularly in July, people are stepping back and stepping away for various things, and but that is the process. There's a pre-grant process and a post-grant process. Also, along those lines, just a couple other comments. I want to thank the board for their flexibility. I was able to take some time in the first 2 weeks of July. I was working a little bit remote, but mostly focused on supporting my family, focusing on my mom, who I'm moving back here to Duluth. And I would say that I think that should represent my intentionality, that I have no plans of leaving Duluth at this time with moving my 8-year-old mom here. So I actually had somebody in the gym when I mentioned this morning, an employee ran into them in the gym this morning, and I said I was moving my 8-year-old mom here, and they said, "Oh, I guess that means you're not leaving anytime soon." And I said, yes, that was it. But then also last week, we had a team of people that had worked really, really hard on the referendum. Adele Wellens, myself, Patty Paquette, and Brett Mensing. We had done much of the communications work, and there was the National School Public Relations Summit that was in Seattle, and so we presented nationally on the work that we did. We were actually kind of recognized as being one of the key presentations. We were in one of the larger auditoriums, and it was well attended and well received. And I just want to say thanks to our team, as well as to Adele, who was recognized for a couple of awards at the presentation. Our teams are working very hard, and I just want to say thank you.
I have a question. So can you tell us what the awards were? It'd be exciting to know what they were.
Sure. And actually, Adele, did you share the details, please?
I'm just pulling my LinkedIn because I have it on there. One was for the photo of our Native American student that you see on the boards out here every day. So it's for that photo. And then another one was for our strategic roadmap pamphlet that I laid out.
Thank you. I'm really proud of the work that team is doing, and actually it was also kind of one of the twists, or one of the themes of the presentation was also when Ms. Wellens was on leave because of maternity leave, we all kind of pitched in and used our own skills to try and band together, and Patty and Brett and myself to try and do the public relations of that referendum work. But Adele has done a great job in leading the public relations of the district, thinking about the re-imaging of the district, as well as how we communicate our information. And I think even tonight, she partnered really closely with member banks and others to make sure that it was a really, really successful celebration of Portia Johnson. So very grateful for that teamwork.
And then just a quick question, can you share with us when do principals come back? I saw the dates of your workshops and stuff. When is the return of our?
This is our new calendar,
Yeah,
so we're just going into it. And actually, part of the reason that we're able to have the dates that we have is because of some of the contract negotiations that we did. If you remember, the principals added 5 extra days to their contract, which allows us to do more work with them in the summer and do more professional learning. We also added to our teacher time, which adds to that. Would you like to share those dates?
The high school principals come back on August 5th, and the rest come back on August 12th.
And I just have a note that we like repeating too, so the board likes getting reminders of emails that we sent a while ago to refresh us on what we need to know too, so you're not the only one that finds it valuable to repeat. And again, I think is our school board workshop date in August already on our calendar as August 25th?
No.
It was on one calendar,
For August, for school work session, yes, we do. Let's see, I'll find it.
It is, it has been.
August 25th is a Sunday.
Okay, well, it's on that day then.
We'll double check.
I
Yeah,
don't remember.
here it's posted on our school webpage, but I will double check. I want to say it's August 22nd, but I could be wrong. And
It's August 25th.
It is the 22nd. That's our calendars.
Thank you, Patty.
And I know it was on our calendars, when we had the whole 23, 24 calendar. And now I know that, we worked on the 24, 25 and, but it was on our original one for that too.
And the 24, 25 is posted on the webpage now.
Right. And maybe you can send that to us as well, as a document, just as the chart sheet, because I like to post it on my bulletin board at my office. Okay. Any other questions? Member Applicant.
This is just a general comment, both for Superintendent Magus as well as the rest of our staff. We really appreciate hearing that you are taking time off and having balance in your life and enjoying a little bit of the summer and getting recharged. So I can't speak for all of the board, of course, but I just as a board member, always great to hear your camping stories or concert stories or whatever it might be, and that you are recharging yourself. So we know how hard you work through the year, and I just really appreciate knowing that you are taking care of yourself and spending time with your family as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to number C then on our report of the superintendent is just the scheduled meetings and events, and so you see that Patty's great about putting it out every Friday. Tonight we have quite a list of meetings, but then we have none next week and none the next week. So that's a time for us to downcharge and well, maybe not. We have day jobs too. But okay. And then the week of August 12th to the 16th, you see that we have a little bit different too. So note that COW is usually on the second Tuesday of the month or the first Tuesday of the month, but that's probably conflicting with the community night out celebrations that our community always has, and we always try to allow members of our staff and our school board to attend that. So it's a little bit off in the fact that Monday, August 12th is HR business, Thursday, August 15th is policy at 3:30, and then followed Thursday, August 15th with the monthly committee of the whole. So just a little bit of a different calendar there. Moving along on our agenda, we move to the report of the standing committees, and really we have an HR Business Service Committee meeting that happened July 9th, so I'll turn it over to Member Deere.
Thank you. We had a great and the only committee meeting during this month, so I'm just saying, you guys should think about it for assignments, maybe you don't want to have to come in July. I was kidding. Okay, so let's start out. We started out with a guest presentation for the meeting, and that was our about our commercial insurance renewal, which you can find on the agenda 3B. This was with Marsh and McLennan Agency, and Representative Bob St. Arnold gave us a great update. And there's just a few highlights that I just want to go over. So we were expecting somewhere between a 10 to a 15% increase in our premiums, but because of the hard work of our administration and our wonderful representative, Mr. Bob St. Arnold, we were able to bring that increase into about 8.8%. So that is great savings for the institution. They did some work on different areas within our insurance, and if you go to the HR Business Services agenda, you can look on page 35 where you can see our premium summary and our comparison. So we did do some work, or the administration did some work on changing some deductibles. I know there was a question about some discussion that had happened during that HR Business Services meeting. And what that had to do with is looking at deductibles, where we wanted deductibles and how that would fall in and affect the rate of insurance. So you think of your car insurance, whether you have a $1,000 deductible or a $2,500 deductible, that affects how much your insurance is. So we looked at maybe changing some deductibles that had to do with some of our cyber and some of our infrastructure that has to do with our technology. So essentially, last year for our premiums, we paid $874,532, and this year we will be bringing our 2024-2025 proposed renewal premiums at $900,054,688. So we were great to see the hard work pay off. If you have any other questions about that presentation, I know I'd be glad to talk with you, or also when Executive Director Zunich is back, I know that she will have some information as well. But the big take-home message is that our administrators have done a lot of work to make sure that we are getting the best deal possible, and we have great representation with Mr. Bob St. Arnold. So are there any questions on insurance? Great, such a fun topic. Okay, moving on to departmental reports. For human resources, we have our HR monthly departmental report. We can see that we are looking at more hires and retirements, resignations, and leave of absences. We know that our HR department is continuing to focus on recruitment and hiring throughout the summer. On June 19th, our HR department attended the Juneteenth celebration. On June 27th, we attended the mini summer career fair hosted by Carleton County. Though at those celebrations, we were focusing on our non-certified positions such as custodial, child nutrition, paraprofessional, and transportation. They have their next job fair on July 10th with Career Force Duluth, and they will also be at Business of the Day at Career Force on August 12th, where we will provide same-day applications and interviews for maintenance and transportation positions. Managers from each department will be there and able to connect with candidates. The department has also started preparing for the new hire orientation, which will be held August 20th for all new hires in the district. New hires will have the opportunity to listen to a message from the superintendent. I don't know why I just pointed at you. Message from the superintendent. I'm just going to start following you around and doing that now. Okay. They'll meet with other leaders on our human resource team, and they'll learn more about being an employee. And then we will have separate sessions for certified and non-certified staff. The benefits department has been processing and paying the severance HCSP contributions for newly retired teachers. The department is also working on an updated benefits orientation for the school year. And the department also attended a seminar regarding Minnesota paid leave that starts in 2026. That's going to help us prepare for changes. So, contract negotiations with the clerical unit is ongoing with the National Conference of Firemen and Oilers. That is also ongoing, and we've started with the district-wide instructional administrators. Am I right? Okay, great. So that concludes our HR monthly departmental summary report. Do we have any questions? Great, we'll move on to child nutrition. As usual, we are preparing and serving our summer meals. Those meals started on the 17th of June. Summer Meals will also be hosting a 3-day administrative state audit for our meal programs. This happens the 31st, the 1st, and the 2nd of August. So we're making sure we get all the documents and refresh our employees on all of our regulation. We are going to be moving to new software for child nutrition. That will be part of our Infinite Campus. That became live on June 30th, and we're making sure we can get all that information updated. So this is great. So a yearly summary, yearly totals for all programs that we served for the 2023-2024 school year. The meal program served almost 1.4 million meals. That is crazy. Meals and snacks, I should say. That's a lot of meals, exclamation point. We also spent over $310,000 on fresh fruits and vegetables to include in those meals. $285,000 of that was in USDA commodity dollars. So this was a great year, but just take a minute and think about what our nutritional staff has done for our academic year 2023-2024 with almost 1.4 million meals and snacks. That's amazing. Moving on to, oh my God, everything mixed up. Oh, no, enrollment reports. Sorry, those enrollment reports will come back in October. Facilities Department report. We will be approving our long-term facilities maintenance, our 10-year plan under our recommended resolutions. We have a lot of work going on. Lincoln Park pool resurfacing, Duluth DNT building, utility mapping, Lowell Elementary flooring is ahead of schedule, Stoll concrete removal and installation, dry sprinkler system at Lincoln Park and Ordine. Loading dock and Myers-Logan new playground fence. Our facilities people are working very hard and we thank them. All right, our technology department. Did Bart give us an update? I just told you so online.
It was a verbal.
It was verbal.
It was a
right?
verbal.
Yeah.
Bart, it was just ongoing work through the summer, correct?
Yes. Oh, he's back.
And we were still working on resolution. Did you have any information to update us on about the AV equipment here? Are you getting cooperation?
Yes, I reached out to the CDWG on our still problems we're having with the AV system here, and they sent up a contract, zero-cost contract to reprogram all the equipment back there. So they were sending a team up to start reprogramming all the equipment, coding, and that's what they feel is causing the issues because it's so random. And that's why we're using the OWL again tonight, because the AV systems didn't work when we came in here to test it earlier today. It couldn't power up any of the displays, so I had to restart the system. And they did provide a battery backup system for this because they thought it was power related. And that hasn't changed anything, but they said they'll be up here. They're hoping to get up here within the next 2 weeks to reprogram the system.
Thank you for your work on that part. We appreciate it. It's been an ongoing struggle.
As long as Bart is sitting at the mic there, I thought it was interesting in your report about the data breach that's coming through student and some staff emails and how you are going and contacting those that have made accounts with businesses. I think about myself as a teacher and as a speech coach when I make hotel reservations or I'm doing a lot of buying of product for our programs, and it's really school related, but yet it opens up doors. Am I right in thinking that that's how? I know it was through AutoZone and some other things that are legitimately places where staff would be making purchases, but it just really made me think about the fact that I probably created some of these accounts that I use like 30 years ago with a ISD 709 Gmail because you didn't think about making any other account. So I'm busy looking through all of my school district things to see what have I given my school district account to, because I've been with the district for almost 40 years. So it's like, oh, I bet there's some random Bath and Body account.
So yeah, we've sent some emails out concerning that. People have accounts associated with their district. Please change those personal ones. But the benefit is we've only had our at ISD709.org email for 12 years.
It was
Duluth.K12. And we had that since the early 90s, Duluth.K12.NN.US. So that did start over again.
That's true.
But we still have a lot of people using their district accounts for personal, business. And some are legit, like I said, with the AutoZone and stuff like that. We know the automotive CT program would have it. We know transportation for sure would have it. And there could be other people that would have that. But that was just one of the many that are part of this new data breach. And as stuff come in, Tim is working on that to make sure they contact the people and let them know what was found and change your district password as well, and then your personal one if you have that account still.
I appreciate
I learned everything, yeah.
Appreciate all that you do for cybersecurity and just making sure that our students are safe, our teachers are safe, and we keep all our information secure. On that note, I had a little note from our meeting. Did you talk about our insurance policy too at the meeting, the cyber security? Didn't our deductible go down?
It did go down.
Because of the good work that
it went down $1,000. So
I had it. Yeah, I had it like 100,000 to 25,000.
Yeah, there's a note from Beasley. We went 2023 from 100,000 deductible to $25,000 deductible. And then there's also, I think we did some change on some of the deductible for the hardware associated with technology. We might have brought that up a little bit.
Yeah, well, actually, we raised our deductible up quite a bit on our hardware. I think it was at $5,000 in the past, and since I've been here, we've never had a claim on it. So I did work with Simone on that, and I recommended that we increase that, because, even if we made it to $50,000 at one time or something like that, we've never had a claim on hardware, so, yeah.
Do we have any other questions for Bart? Thank you so much. Thank you, Bart. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to transportation. As we know, in June, we finalized our new 10-year contract with Voyager Bus. The transportation department is working on summer routing. We're still looking for bus drivers, and Joe has been working with the routers weekly to keep our communication flowing on the routes. We know those change as more students enroll in the district, and our mechanics are working hard on our buses. So we appreciate everything that our transportation department does for us. And that concluded our departmental reports. We have 3 recommended resolutions. We have the FY26 long-term facilities maintenance 10-year plan, our FY25 commercial insurance renewal, and that's directly tied to the guest presentation we had at the meeting. And then we have acceptance of donations to the Duluth Public Schools. On our consent agenda, we have our HR staffing, facility use fees. We will get our financial reports beginning again in August of 2024 for FY25. We had no bids, RFP and quotes under contracts, change orders, and leases. We had a contract with Viata Home Health, a use and maintenance agreement with Great Gary New Duluth Development Alliance, City of Duluth, and the Duluth Public Schools. Contract for Check and Connect services, and I just want to take a minute to bring some attention to that. We have great support this year from St. Louis County. Starting in FY25, that Check and Connect, the money we get from St. Louis County is going to go to 70%, and starting in FY26, that money will go to 40% being covered by St. Louis County. This Check and Connect will be part of the decisions that we'll have to think about as we look at resource reallocation. So I just want to bring Check and Connect to the front of everybody's mind. And then last, we have a lease from UDAC for an FY25 rental space addendum. Under our miscellaneous, we had a guiding change for our 2025-2026 school years. We had some expenditure contracts, no-cost contracts, and then also revenue contracts. And that concludes our July HR Business Services Committee report. Are there any questions? Great, thank you.
I'm going to hide on.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't see that. My apologies.
No worries, no worries. If we could for a moment go back to the nutrition area. We
Yes.
had made the announcement of the 1.4 meals and snacks. I had suggested or had hoped for that information to get out in the larger public so that the folks who are taxpayers can see what the district is doing with taxpayer funds with regard to our children. I'm hoping that's going to happen. I'm not sure if it's happened yet, but I would really appreciate that getting out so that our taxpayers can see what the district's doing in that area. And then I have a question or a suggestion or whatever, or comments related to transportation overall. I really want to see the district have a partnership with the Duluth Transit Authority in some way. I'm not sure what way that could be, but I'm concerned about children who may be running late for school, don't have money to hop on the bus to get to school. If there was some way to negotiate something or talk to the DTA, because they do offer courtesy rides when those courtesy rides are needed, because we want our kids to get to school, we want them to be in the classroom. Is there a way for the district to, I don't know, set up some kind of meeting with the leadership at the DTA to make this happen? Or is there any other options? I know we're not at this point going to continue we had the pilot situation going on with the DTA. Budget constraints don't allow us to continue that. But I'm really concerned about those kids who are not getting to school and they either miss their bus, they go back home, they're not in the classroom. So if there's something that can be done from the district level with regard to some kind of negotiation or consideration with the DTA, say it's like 2 or 3 kids a day. Let's give them that courtesy, let's get them on the bus so they can get to the classrooms.
Member Banks, I think that that's a great idea, and I think we have an intergovernmental committee where we work with St. Louis, with representatives from St. Louis County commissioners is what I'm trying to spit out, and also city councilors. I think for our next intergovernmental meeting, which Member Miskell, Member Sadowski, and myself, we all attend that meeting, so I think that would be a great place for us to start, is to talk with the city councilors and the county commissioners, and then come to that and see if we can get some feedback and some ideas from the city councilors and the county commissioners that maybe that. So we had our meeting for July, and so I think that's a great place. Would you be comfortable if we brought it up in August, or maybe one of us could sit out? Maybe I don't go to that meeting and you can attend as the school board member, so then that way we don't have more than, and then would that be something you'd be interested in?
I'm fine with someone from the committee being there to do that in August. That's not a problem.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that if that's the next place we take it, to do that information sharing in that committee, and then see if the city councilors and the county commissioners give us some direction and some ideas they have for the next
I
place?
think that would be a great place to be. Yeah.
Great, all right, I appreciate it. And then maybe you and I can sit down ahead of that, Member Banks, and have a conversation of what you'd like us to represent as we go there.
Absolutely. For me, even one child out of the classroom is important.
100%,
Yeah.
I agree.
So I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Banks.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Member Banks. I know that there's a lot of people who, students out there who maybe when they miss the bus, they don't have a parent with a vehicle to drive them, and you depend on the DTA. And so it would be great to see how we can maybe work with our community partners to get those students being able to hop on the bus to go to school. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm also kind of surprised because it's a great way, if the DTA can kind of work with us, it's a great way to gain new ridership for the future. I do ride the bus occasionally, and I have ridden it during rush hour in the morning, and it's still pretty light ridership, so it would be really nice to see if we can forge a partnership there. I'm just saying, I think there's room for.
I see Member Loeffler Kemp, I see Superintendent Mavis, and I see Member Miller.
I can hold off because I am maybe assuming Mr. Bonds and Mr. Magus have something related to transportation. different comments, so go ahead.
Well, I think this is something that we all agree is important. That's why we did the pilot. We were very disappointed with the finances becoming more restricted. And I think that your other ideas that you've shared related to maybe finding another partner, or actually I think what you mentioned, Member Sadowski, about many communities view this as a way of training future ridership and getting more buy-in into public transit. So if there were a way for the city to think about that from that perspective, maybe there would be a way for that to move forward. I know that Assistant Superintendent Bonds has worked more closely with the DT on that. I also know that we've taken other measures when we're thinking about school and kids missing the bus, and we have a multifaceted attendance campaign that we're working on as well, including when you look out and you see the 10 vans that we have out there too, with every student every day on the side. Our intention is for us too to take that on and try to be more scaffolded in the support that we give kids, because personally, I as a student had attendance issues myself, and it's a challenging, multifaceted thing. It's not as easy as just saying, get to school. Right. So I want to make sure that we're multifaceted in our approach. I would say that we have been, it's definitely a focus and definitely something we need. And I also, to a degree, and please take this with the care that it's intended, when we're going through the budget process and we're looking at a reduction of nearly $7 million over the next few years, sometimes it is the small things that add up too. And so, $100,000 that we would be spending on this or thereabouts, that would be one teaching position. And so when we look at that, we're going to be placed in situations over the coming months where we're forced to make really hard decisions and make decisions that at times have negative impact on our kids. This is something close to my heart as well, and I say that from a bond with you on this desire. But there may be other entities out there that do have possibility of funding something like this. Maybe there would be a corporation or a community business as well. I was thinking that perhaps at my next Duluth Chamber of Commerce Executive Board meeting, I could mention it and see if there's any interest in maybe an entity responding, because we have great participation with many community businesses. Mm-hmm. Anything you'd like to add, Mr. Box?
Yes, and I'll be brief. I know this is one of those conversations that's gotten a little longer than we already anticipated, but it's a good one. One of the things that we have as a priority for the district for the coming year is a clear focus on attendance, the student attendance. Mm-hmm. So exploring all of the different avenues that we can to make sure students have access to reliable transportation. The DTA has been a really good partner, great partner with us with the pilot program. So I know there's an interest there, so it's not, from their position, a lack of interest. It does come down to resources, but we still will be pursuing additional conversations and outreach to our community partners to see if we can subsidize some way this opportunities for our students, because we know that some students really need additional reliable transportation, and the DTA does provide that. So we will be exploring it. So I do, if for the committee, if that date can be shared with me, because I want to just join to listen the committee that you referenced. Is that something? Is that possible as a visitor to be?
Yeah.
I would love to attend that meeting just to listen in as well. So thank you.
That'd be great.
Student rep Miller.
Oh yeah, student rep.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you for bringing it up also. I see it as a reflection of the graduation rates, which is attendance, and then that brings it to transportation. And transportation is super important, especially for low-income students. Just taking the bus for a few cents or dollars is just a lot of money when every single day and home and back. It's just a lot to put on students just in general. The past year with the DTA cards was super useful. It was very considerable. It was amazing for all the students, and it was a reliable source. So I would love to see a partnership with the DTA as soon as possible. So.
Student rep Miller, I had just an idea popped in my head, so maybe you and I can connect later and chat a little bit, that'd be great.
I just have one more final comment, and it's kind of piggybacking off of Superintendent, I guess what you said about, when we're looking at $7 million gap, these decisions are going to be really hard. And so I just wanted to kind of, for the public, share, to take a peek at that guiding change document that's in here. It talks about the deficit, it talks about the thoughtful meetings that we're going to have with all stakeholders. And most importantly, it talks about that our decisions should be student-centered. So students are central to our decision-making, also considering legality, strategic plan priorities, and making reductions over eliminations where possible. But these are going to be really tough choices. And I just wanted to kind of share that really briefly that, it's good to have this guiding change document to kind of focus us when those decisions get hard. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Sadowski. I think that's an excellent reference point for us, and I think that we need to, that's why it is a guiding change document, is because it should be something that we come back to again and again, and it helps us refocus. So I think that that is something that I'd like us to kind of maybe even keep a copy of it in our red folders throughout the course of the next few months, because that is part of it. One other thing that I think that we need to focus on within our guiding change is we want to make sure that the choices we make don't further or exacerbate opportunity gaps that are already in place. And so this would be an example of something that we might want to consider in that realm. Again, it's not going to be possible to make every decision perfectly on this in a way that will have no negative income, I don't know why I'm saying income, no negative outcome for our students. So we're going to be going through some tougher times in doing this, but I think that this is a time that leadership and our morals and our compass of where we need to make our decisions needs to be anchored in that document.
Are there any questions? Any more questions?
No, I was going further. I was just going to go on to the next one.
Great. Member Lopper.
If you're done, I'll just follow up with the questions that I had in my line for earlier.
Please.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I just thank you for that discussion. As I think there are community partners out there that we can seek. I sat thinking of just some boards I sit on that have endowment funds that this might be a great opportunity. So I would love to see that exploration. And then I was going to comment just also on, thank you, Henry, for bringing up the meals and promoting the 1,370,946 meals and snacks. I was going to make a comment too about how can we get that message out there. So thank you for bringing that up. And just a quick side note under the retirement of Ross Vince. I can't pronounce his name, Ross. Anyways, I had the opportunity to ride on the retiree train ride and talk with him about his whole 20 years of working for our district. So he had many great things to say about being a staff member. So I just wanted to comment personally on that. And that is all I wanted to comment on, Chair Waffle.
Thank you, Member Lopper.
So we don't have a policy committee report, but Member Loeffler can share that just as one kind of overview.
Thank you. We did not have a policy meeting, but just days after our June board meeting, the NSBA, they put out a policy newsletter, and so they put out their June newsletter, which had a lot of the legislative session changes that, so I didn't know if you all saw that, so I made copies of just how to get to some of those updates for all of the board members of that. So I'm just going to share that with you, and then also say at the August summer retreat that a few of us are attending, this is also an opportunity where policy changes based on the legislative session often are talked about. So we will be, some of us will be attending that as well. And then again, our August 15th, 3:30 policy meeting will be happening. And Some of the changes, as we talked about briefly in June, we've already been making, and we'll go into that more in August. But I just wanted to share this with you, just in case you missed it, because it came up just shortly after our board meeting. So thank you, and I look forward to our policy meeting in August.
Thank you. It's always good to get information. Legislative, topics are rolling out. We talked about the Title IX information that came out in the webinar that MSBA put out this past week on the impact that Title IX might have on school districts. So, that's a good resource as well. We're moving along to number 8, and that is our general board committee update. So this is an opportunity for any of us that in this last 3 weeks since our last board meeting have gone to any of your community or to school district meetings and wanted to share anything. Member myself.
Yes, earlier this month I attended our intergovernmental meeting. It was brief, just due to some events that many of the members of the community needed to get to soon after the beginning. Updates were provided on the community input session that the district and the county and the city held regarding the little traffic updates and just the work that was being put into that issue. And then there was more conversation between county and city on items that are more relevant to their scopes. But it was all in all very informative meeting.
Thank you. Moving along to number 9 is our consent agenda. So taking a look at our consent agenda, there are things like approval of the minutes for past board meetings. There's some approval of action items that took place at our June 24th or June 18th, I think meeting. And there's some finance things that Member Peters reminded us are on the consent agenda. There are diploma requests. There's a number of things on our consent agenda. This is a time, this is a time where we can look at what things we might want more discussion on, and Member myself.
I would like to pull an item from the consent agenda, the facility use fee schedule. It's not a technical item, but it's on pages 11, 12, and 13, please.
So is it on the finance? Number 2, under,
I think it's 1B1B1. 1B1B1.
1B1B1. Oh yeah, it is. Under other action items, facility use fee schedule, because that was, okay. So you're looking to pull B1B1. Great. So that's up for discussion right now. Does anyone want to speak to the fee statement? And I know that we have our committee at finance, facilities manager.
Facilities use coordinator.
Coordinator, Danielle. Okay. So I think we first start with some questions that we might have and see if Danielle can share with us information. And to help facilitate this, we also have the fee use schedule that is in our packet and a copy of maybe a former one, last year's. Okay.
I guess I'll start us off by saying that there were questions that were brought up from related to facility usage, and Danielle is prepared to answer some of the questions that we received.
Okay.
So I'll have Danielle provide some information responses to the questions that were shared with her earlier, and then we can field other questions if we can proceed in that fashion.
Perfect.
Great. So good to see all of you again. Thank you. It's known some of you over the past couple months talking about this very thing. So I know there were quite a few different questions, kind of starting with why. Why are we doing this? Why are we changing the fees? And there's kind of 2 different ways that in one we've looked at kind of how we're doing facility use that we're going this direction. The first is that we did change our classification of groups. So that was brought forward with the policy change. And when we split up those groups into different classes, the previous fee schedule didn't accommodate that. So we did have to look a little bit closer at what does that mean for how we have folks now, especially when it comes to our youth organizations here in Duluth, and how to make sure that they're being able to access our facilities in a very sustainable way, as well as making sure that we're taking care of the spaces that they're in. So that's the other half of this, is our previous, I guess you could call it a system of how facilities use was happening was some groups were being charged, some groups were not being charged, and there was no rhyme or reason. So we need to clean that up, and we need to make sure that this is happening equally across the board. And there's not just some groups skating by and not paying anything, and there's other groups that are being charged for every single hour that they're out on a field or on a court or in a classroom. So this cleans it up, and then when we were looking at all of that, we also want to make sure that if we are charging fees to cover those costs, even in just the past 6 months, there's been a lot of facility work being done. The Lincoln Parks pool, we have all of the basketball hoops had their annual review, which is, I think it was $7,000 some just to have the hoops looked at, and that didn't account for all of the repairs that had to happen on those basketball hoops. So charging a fee would help alleviate that from our funding, as well as it's a very common practice across schools. And so we want to make sure that we're keeping up in that regard as well. And when we split up all of the classifications, we don't want to make things unattainable. So you'll notice in that class 1 or that class 2, where we have our Duluth youth organizations, our government partners, municipalities, local colleges, universities, those fees are rather cheap, and they are much cheaper than what our previous fees were. So again, this is to make sure that we're not excluding our local groups from being able to use the facilities, but still covering what we need to make sure those spaces are usable and safe. With the other ones, for the most part, class 3 has stayed the same as what the previous fees were. We didn't see any need to really change those. We felt they were fair, and we felt that they were working as they should. And when it came to the commercial groups, we also didn't make a lot of changes. Just, again, it's not something that we use a lot of. There aren't a lot of commercial groups that use our spaces. So we just wanted to make sure that it was attainable, as well as when those outside groups that aren't our students are using our facilities, we can cover a lot of those costs as well, especially staffing and everything like that. With the wanting to make sure everything was sustainable as well as achievable for these groups, I know there's a lot of concerns about if we're charging too much, especially when we have these groups that have these long seasons. I think of basketball. Basketball goes a very long time, and that is a lot of hours. One of the groups recently, as many of you saw that email, over 1,000 hours of gym time, and that does add up. And so we have had a lot of conversations about having a waiver, and this waiver can be used in a couple of different ways. It can be used for groups that maybe don't have any funds at all in order to use our facilities, and they can fill out the waiver, and we can allow them to use our space and not have to pay, as well as groups that maybe have the means to pay a little bit, but maybe not 1,000 hours worth. So making sure that it's still accessible for everybody, and when that waiver is completed, we can bring it back and make sure that it fits for everybody involved. I believe that should cover most of the questions I think that were sent over.
Correct, and as the board knows, over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of individuals contacting us through various means, either email or coming to the board with commentary related to access or lack thereof for our facilities, and it's been an ongoing concern and problem in our district, but it's also throughout the city, and trying to get access to gym time and spaces is really challenging, and the schools do provide an opportunity for that, but as Danielle and our coordinator, Jeremy Rupp, who wasn't able to be here today, they've been really working hard to try to stabilize some of the practices that were in place previously to make sure, again, the gyms and other spaces are accessible to all, that there's a process and a rhyme and reason for who's being charged and why they're being charged. And we recognize that for some groups, it's a change in practice. And we recognize that, but again, we're trying to make sure that the spaces are available and accessible to many student groups and all student groups. And there's a consistent practice for how we go about allowing groups to access and reserve those spaces. And I know there might be other questions, so I'll turn the mic back over to Danielle. We're here to answer all the questions. Chair Lofer, would you like to call out individuals or should I? Okay.
So I don't know, I didn't see, who, do you know if yours when I first?
I don't remember, Barbara can go first.
Okay, and I'll kind of watch to see when your mic's on. So it's, first it's member Leffler Kemp and then members else.
This is kind of a simple question, but just again, thank you for all your work on this, and it is important that we use our spaces with the community, but we also recognize that we use our spaces for our district a lot, and so I'm glad that we're looking at how we do this best. So and updating this. I'm just curious, Danielle, if I were an organization that has never used a district before, would I go on the website and there's a form for me to fill out, or do I pick up the phone and you're going to be on the other end at some point? And kind of what's that process? So that just as a school board member, if I'm asked, I can give them the simple, this is what you do to see if we even have availability.
Yeah, the quickest and easiest way is to just go onto our website. So on the district website, for community, there's a tab for facilities use, and right at the top is an e-form to fill out. So all requests, we ask people to put that through, just that way we have all of your information right away, so that way we can look at, is it available, where are you trying to be, and then when we do make those permits, making sure we have all the contact information. I am more than willing to field phone calls and emails as well. We do have the facilities request at ic79.org email, and that's posted on all of our policies. It's posted on the website. It's the one that I give out to people. It's just easier to remember my last name. And so they can also email that, and that comes directly to me, and I'm happy to answer questions that way.
Okay. So great, thank you. And then just the last kind of piece I would just say is, you know, I think many of us board members have been in buildings at different times in the evening. We're involved with things in the community, and I certainly am well aware that our buildings are used often, over and over, and sometimes we might have to say we can't accommodate it, right? Just because of the full usage that we're having, whether it's from our district or from other community groups. So, you know, I know we're doing a lot. Thank you.
I just asked if Adele would cast up the facilities use and see that it says facilities request form, and you would click on that. You want to click on that? And then it brings you to an application, and then that goes, when you submit it, it will go, and it just tells you what you want and the contact, and then it will, then you get a form back that says you've submitted it, and you will hear from facilities, and you usually get an email with all of that, and then, yeah. So I hope that our community can find it. I know it's always hard to work on websites and look at that, so just want to.
I appreciate that. So like a local school clerical does not have anything, they do not do anything related to building music, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Except for their own programming. So if they are having, you know, a Christmas concert at Lowell, they often are the ones organizing that.
Thank you.
Members else?
I'm just wondering, when you looked at redoing the schedule, and maybe you mentioned this before and I just forgot or something, but did you look at other districts of similar size and kind of see what their fee schedules were? when we're kind of analyzing our fee schedules?
Yeah, I can actually tell you the majority of the ones that I did look at. So I based it based on ones that was similar to our district, similar to our community, and then also our neighbors. So I looked at Osseo, Mankato, St. Louis Park, Shakopee, Hermantown, Eden Prairie, Hopkins, St. Cloud, and Rochester. And then as well as there was a group of us that got together to also look at this that included myself, Anthony Brown, Simone Zurich, Sean Rowan, and Tom Pearson, both of the athletic directors, as well as Tammy, Ashley, and Lauren, who are the treasurers, and then some input from Jeremy, Rob, Kelly, and Tom from both high schools as well as principals.
Great, thank you for that information. And then, and that's very comprehensive, so I appreciate your work on that. That's very extensive. I also appreciate the conversation around basically equity. You know, some groups maybe were being charged, some weren't. I think it's really, I mean, we could tie it back to like our improving systems and just making things, sure things are being run smoothly, that they're equitable. But I have a follow-up question about the waiver. You know, I just hope thought is being put into what that will look like. Who knows how many organizations might submit a waiver? I don't know. I'm just trying to like think ahead too through things. Maybe you've done some research on other districts that have done waivers. And then are you going to consider a sliding fee scale? You said maybe some might not have any funds available, and so then they could do a waiver. Are you going to consider a sliding fee scale at all?
It's definitely something that has been talked about. We haven't worked out the exact numbers behind that. And that's something that sitting down with Anthony and Simone and probably Brett as well, to get the exact numbers of what that looks like. We don't have it now because the initial thought of the waiver was to completely waive all fees. But for those groups that are there long-term, there's an idea of either capping, so you only pay a certain amount of money, or having a sliding fee. I don't know at this time which is more beneficial.
Okay, thanks for your work on that. I'm really glad that we're just looking at all the different angles.
And just if I could jump in just for a quick moment, as it relates to that, just other things that the board and community may not be aware of that we factor in, that we don't just publicly sometimes share, but we are addressing and dealing with things such as sometimes we have clubs that actually charge a fee to students. So they may be using our facilities and charging students a fee, but then they're not being charged a fee. So we're making sure we address a lot of those things as we go through. So when we say we're working on equity and access, those are the things we're really dealing with. And I know sometimes we don't want to bring those things up in public because it sparks a lot of conversations. But in reality, we are really addressing the things. It is about system improvement. It is about really taking a hard look at past practices. They have allowed certain groups access for free, others that have to pay. We are about equity. We are committed to making sure equal access to opportunities, and we're doing our very best to share those things up. And so, yes, some individuals or some groups will feel a change in practice, but we think it's for the best.
And I see Member Maxwell and then Member Binks.
Yeah, thank you. I had no doubt that your team had not put it or had put in so much effort into this, as just seeing all the work that you did with the policy and with our handbook and guidebook. And so one of the reasons why I pulled this off the consent agenda is I feel like we had not yet been able to hear all of the work that you would put in to this fee schedule and to really understand the nuts and bolts of what these changes are and why these changes are so necessary. Recognizing that, making sure that our schools are accessible to all who can use them when our students aren't actively learning in them is so important. Making sure that there's also a bit of skin in the game so that they're taking care of our facilities as they use them, I agree, is also so important. Some of the communication that I've received from community members are for groups for whatever reason were not being charged in the past or even this last year, now seeing what the fees might be going forward, recognizing that you are working within your team on how to address that kind of things, whether it's with a waiver or otherwise. Is there any consideration of having a stair step up to whatever that full charge might be for groups that have already set a budget for their upcoming year and don't necessarily have extra funds for facility use that they weren't planning on, didn't realize was going to happen? Talk to me about a little bit about that.
There hasn't been, I would say, a lot of discussion on it. Both Jeremy, Rep, and I have spent a lot of time discussing, the two of us trying to figure out what is the best way to roll this out. Because you're right, you can't just slap it down and expect people who have been planning for a year to make some of these changes. And one of the first ways was really leaning on this waiver. And so if you do have a group that has a very strict set budget right now, we want to be able to accommodate, so whether that is that cap, whether it is a sliding scale, that's what we would use as kind of that step system. And then also there's some conversation about having a form that each group can access and we can respond to, and that would come back to my team, it would our administrators, it would come to folks on the board if they so choose. We can see those concerns coming in live, and we can address them as they come as one central place to kind of fund little, and because each group is going to be very unique on how it's going to affect them in the beginning, and so we want to kind of hit those growing pains right away.
Thank you.
Member Bates.
Thank you very much. Just a quick question. When the organizations or entities fill out the application, are they required to submit their annual budget with regard to their operational things related to the application, for example? Is that a part of the application process? Does the district require that?
It's not a budget question, but it does ask if you charge admission or a fee.
So it doesn't have the budget?
It's not a strict budget question.
Okay, thank you.
There has been conversation about having something about the budget on the waiver form, so they can disclose that information there.
Okay.
Member Peter.
Thank you. I appreciate all the work on this. I've had children that participate in activities that use our building, so I really want to thank you for doing this work. And I've also been out in the community and have talked to members of a lot of our youth sports organizations that have nothing but great things to say about how hard you work and how accommodating. So I want to compliment you on that. So thank you very much. My question is we had an email where you introduced sort of these two ideas, option one and option two. So is the waiver something that is definitely set? Like, have you figured out what options yet you want to do for the waiver, or is this still in the thought process right now?
I have a waiver written that I feel very confident in, and for the beginning of using this and kind of in that stepping stone situation, my initial thought was to kind of lean on the team that kind of put this together. So using Anthony and Simone as also folks to kind of help decide what does this look like completely.
So I think that's a great idea, and I want to leave up to you all what the waiver is going to look like and how you operate that waiver. I'm a little bit hesitant right now moving forward with voting on the fee schedule without having that sort of concrete, just as a protective mechanism as we move forward and how we roll this out. We have answers for the community. So I want everybody to know that I am in favor of looking at this fee schedule. I would be more comfortable if we maybe had an idea about what the waiver looked like and how we were going to do that. So as we go out in the community, we have that information to share, because we know any change, especially when it comes to athletics, there's never just anything tiny, it is just whipped up into a frenzy, right? So I would prefer not to have to deal with the frenzy right away, or minimize the frenzy, right? So is there a way that maybe we could pull this for a little bit and give you all some time to figure out what that waiver looks like, and then maybe reintroduce it at a different time? Is that something that, this is just part of the discussion, so I'd appreciate any feedback you had on that as well.
Absolutely. I want to make sure this works. And I agree with many of your statements, not all your statements, that there are a couple pieces that are a little wishy-washy, a term to use. And even within a month, I think we could firm up what that looks like.
Would that be very disruptive to the process that you all are going through right now?
Not exactly. I know that many of the groups that this will impact the most won't be needing it right away September 1st.
Okay.
Their seasons are later in the game. When they're setting things up, I'm not even able to schedule most of these groups until late August because I'm still waiting on our district calendars and our district sports before I can even look at these groups. So although I have all their information ready, and when we do have all the information, I can get it done real quick. I can't even make a decision on their schedules for a while. So I don't think it would disrupt it a lot on most ends. I know some people do like to have answers right away though.
Yeah. I just would like us to be thoughtful, sorry.
I appreciate that, and I would agree with Danielle sharing. It's more about the timing and communication with the groups that have made the request. So I don't believe this is going to be a long process to clarify the waiver and bring it back next month, actually. So we can make a commitment to bring it back next month so we can expedite the process so that we can make sure that we are having good communication with these groups and moving this along if this is what we are, if this is adopted by the board.
Thank you. Member Laffer,
Yeah, just following up to that comment about the timing of making the decision and then coming it back in front of the board. I'm just wondering, just because our meetings are all pushed back a little bit in August, if it would be helpful if, say, our Monday, August 12th HR business meeting when it would be discussed, or our committee of the whole on the 15th, if we had a special meeting and could vote on it rather than waiting until our actual regular school board meeting. So I just, I would imagine any leeway is better than no leeway, or than later. And so I guess as a board member, I'd be willing to lead extra if that would be helpful for it to go through an earlier process than our end of August board meeting. So
if that's something the board is comfortable with, I'm on board for that as well.
So I appreciate that too, and I appreciate Member Eater because you actually said exactly what I was going to say about if we waited to approve this. I'm comfortable with the way the waiver reads right now. I am, but I do think it begs some transparency, and we're not quite ready to be as transparent maybe as we need to be when we actually put it on our website and people are filling it out. But there's a part of me that wishes we could put it on as a working document so that those interested in our especially class 2 area kind of have an idea of where the board is looking and where community ed is going to think. I do think the waiver, at first I thought maybe doing caps would be better, but the way the conversation evolved with good questions and responses, I think that waiver could actually include some of the step up or some of the cap setting. But again, does any board members see, what is our bigger concern about the waiver that we see is not big enough? Can we give Danielle and her team more? I just see that the fee waiver we won't share that. If I apply and I get a waiver of zero money because, no one else sees that except for the community ed program, and then I don't know how we make sure people understand that there's a determination based on what you fill out on the waiver. But I'm good about waiting if you feel you can, and I like Member Lafayette-Kemp's idea, but I think if you did a brief presentation at the COW meeting, we've done this in the past where we kind of give you confidence that what you just presented at the COW is good enough for us, and you can go ahead and put it on the website, and then we will do the vote at a board meeting, unless, I hear feedback from school board members that you want a special meeting right at the end of COW to go into a vote. But I think we've also done it before where the presentation has answered all the questions and we're ready to support it with a vote. And so you're given permission to know confidently that that's where we're going, and then you have to wait a week for the official board meeting.
And I just want to point out too, it's only a 2 business day difference. The committee of the whole is on the 15th and the school board meeting's on the 20th. So you're talking about 5 days too.
The other thing I in conversation with Director Rupp, is that this is a document that's meant to be changed, that the community directors know that if in January we also see that there are some needs to adjust some things that are here, that this is kind of a living document meant to be adjusted as we learn more. And I think that might be where we also could have some grace with keeping it on the consent agenda and knowing that the waiver is going to be solidified by the staff that know about it. So, I would support a move and a motion to withhold it, but I'd also encourage the board maybe to go ahead and say, we know that there's the waiver is the way we're going, and there's some things that are going to work out. That's the desire of the board. Does someone want to make a motion to delay the vote and see where we're at?
I move to table 1B1, hold on, let me just check again.
1B1.
I move to table 1B1B1 facility use fee schedule until our August meeting.
Second. Who seconded? Sarah.
Do you want to table it or take it off the consent agenda for non-approval? Tabling it sometimes gets a little funky with either is it delayed indefinitely or delayed definitely. So I think if you make a motion to just remove this item from the consent agenda.
Didn't we take it off the consent agenda?
We already
took it off.
Or
We
discussion.
pulled it from the discussion.
Yeah. Oh, so that was just for discussion. Okay, got it.
So now let's make a motion to take this off consent agenda, not pass it tonight, and bring it, make it go back to the community ed department to fix the waiver and then bring it back.
So,
Point of clarification.
Yes.
I know that wasn't proper protocol. But I'm seeking clarification on the ask. So
yes, my ask
discussion is strictly about the waiver,
Yeah, so
not about the fees itself.
no, so let me,
Make sure
so
they're
my question, I guess is that we're talking about a waiver, and we have had this introduction of option 1 and option 2. I'm not clear on what direction the district is going, whether we're doing option 1 or option 2, so just that clarification on which of those lanes we're taking for the waiver. Does that help?
It does help.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I guess I had made a motion to table, and then had a second, so I guess we need to vote on that, and then I can make a motion to pull off the facility use fee schedule. So where are we at right now?
Where we're at right now is that you made a motion to table 1B1B1 facility use fee schedule, and Member Mike Sell seconded it. We could just revise that to remove the facility use fee schedule from the consent
I
agenda.
would offer that friendly amendment to change that.
What we want to really do is ask for a friendly motion.
Which is, yep.
And I got you the parliamentary procedures right here. Just make a friendly motion to remove it. And then you're going to make a motion to postpone to a certain time to ensure that a motion will be taken up at the specific time. So you're going to make a motion to bring back the fee statement for community ed to August.
I would like to make a friendly amendment to the motion that I had to remove the fee schedule from this month's consent agenda and to bring it back to the August 20th consent agenda. And is the assumption is that it will go through the HR Business Services meeting again because it will be placed on the consent agenda from the HR Business Services or not?
I don't think it needs to, it was there already, and we're just asking for it to be brought back. We can have a conversation, we don't have to make any motion to say about the cow meeting, but I think that would be a good place to bring back the waiver. And then we're just gonna postpone to a August 20th agenda item for approval of the community ed fee schedule for the 24-25 school year.
Okay, well, right now we have an amendment to remove the fee schedule and bring it back to the 8/20/24 meeting.
And can you title it postpone to a certain time and a special? That's it, you can write it down.
Sure.
Does anybody need the motion right again that we're voting on?
I'll second member Eaters.
Okay. Do you want to read the motion again for us?
All right, member Eater made a motion to postpone the community ed fee schedule and bring it back on August 20th.
So all those in favor of the motion made, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for working with your party. That's good. We need to practice that. We haven't had that, I don't think, in my whole term. Thank you, Danielle. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. So that brings us to now, is there any other consent agenda questions or concerns? So all those in favor of passing the consent agenda, say aye. Oh, no, I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Myself makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'm going with member Eater. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda tonight, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to our lovely resolutions that we have that we like to read and accept. So it's 10A, and member Eater is going to read that resolution for us.
Great, I move resolution B-7-24-4048 for FY 2026 long-term facilities maintenance LTFM 10-year plan. Be resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 709, St. Louis County, State of Minnesota, that the FY 2026 long-term facilities maintenance 10-year plan is approved.
Is there a second? I'll second that motion. All those in favor of the resolution B-7-24-4048, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're going to 10B with the resolution that Member Stelzner will read for us.
I move resolution B-7-24-4049, the FY 25 commercial insurance renewal, be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 709, St. Louis County, State of Minnesota, the FY 2025 commercial insurance renewal be approved.
Is approved.
Do I have a second for that resolution?
Second.
Member Eater seconds that resolution. All those in favor of passing the resolution for the commercial insurance renewal, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our next resolution is 10C, and I'll turn to Member Williams for that resolution. Thank you.
All right, resolution B-7-24-4050, acceptance of donations to Duluth Public Schools. Whereas Minnesota Statute 465.03 requires the school district to accept donations by resolution expressed in the terms prescribed by the donor in full, and whereas acceptance of the donations in accordance with the donor's terms is in the best interest of Duluth Public Schools, now therefore be it resolved that the Duluth Public Schools does accept the below described donations from said organizations in accordance with the terms set forth herein. But be it further resolved that Duluth Public Schools wishes to extend its grateful appreciation to these various individuals and organizations as listed below, which I'm not going to read.
Is there a second to that resolution?
Second.
Member Axel has a second. Is there any discussion about the donation resolution?
Can you share just a couple of those donations, please? Thank you.
Sure. The majority, well, a good chunk of them are donations for our unity and our community event, which I'm super excited about. Also for our youth leadership conference. There was an in-kind donation. There was a cello donated to Lincoln Park Middle School, which I think is awesome. I was part of the Lincoln Park Middle School orchestra back in the day. So thank you again to our donors.
And then our last resolution is 11A, and Member Lockwood.
I move resolution B-7-24-4051, acceptance of grant awards to Duluth Public Schools, whereas Minnesota Statute 465.03 requires the school district to accept grants by resolution expressed in the terms prescribed by the donor in full, and whereas acceptance of the grant in accordance with the donor's terms is in the best interest of the Duluth Public Schools, now therefore be it resolved that the Duluth Public Schools does accept the below described grant from said organization in accordance with the terms set forth herein. Be it further resolved that the Duluth Public Schools wishes to extend its grateful appreciation to this organization. And it's a Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation 2024 STEM Education Fund. And Danette Sivo, who heads up our career and tech programs, worked closely with the foundation board as well as staff on this special grant that will go to Dan Felton East for $4,500 for a new class, a career and tech class for a science course. Help me out with this word, folks. Forensic. Thank you, forensic. Science course, equipment and supplies. And, you know, I serve as your board rep with this community foundation, and I just want to say how much I appreciated the work our staff did to make this happen after our grant process and meetings had already happened. So we had a vote just a few weeks ago on this, and it gave me an opportunity to help educate our retired teachers and some of our current staff that sit on this board on some of our new classes with our new scheduling. And so I just appreciate the work on this, and I just want to add that the work of the foundation and their excitement to learn more about our career and tech programming. So another partner. So I move resolution B-7-24-4051 with great gratitude.
Is there a second?
Second.
Member Zadowski, second, and is there any discussion? Thank you. And then in the resolutions 10A and 10B on long-term facilities or on commercial insurance renewal, I know we passed them, but did anybody have questions about those resolutions? Because I made the motion at a second, but we didn't have discussion.
I actually had questions about the long-term facilities. That budget,
Mr. Brown has
He
left.
left.
he did leave,
Yeah.
so I am wondering if I should ask the question yet. I'm concerned about the leeway given to, I guess, the leadership in that department. And I'm concerned about approving things that are, in my opinion, quite a bit of taxpayer money. And having, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to explain this. What is the threshold for the leader in that department when it comes to bidding and bid opportunities that don't have to come through the board or anything like that for approval? What is that amount? Is it 200,000? Is it 500,000? What is the limit? What is the policy?
Pretty sure it's 100,000.
I think 100 sounds right.
100,000, okay. That was my only question because I was told it was a larger amount. So I just needed that clarification.
And I think it would be important for us to have more conversation on bidding process. We did have some conversation on it in a smaller group meeting, but I think it's important for the board to really have some time to delve into the bidding process, and that might be something we consider as part of our workshop. Because I think it's important for us to consider our fiscal responsibility as well as our interest in considering who is accepting bids, things of that nature, as well as the amounts of the bids. So I think that could be a good topic for a work session, potentially.
And I'm just trying to learn more and just know that I, as a board member, have that opportunity to say, hey, we need to really pull this back and pay attention to what's going on here. So, thank you.
And just to share, because we are a learning board as well, is we could have addressed this too further on. Member Banks, we could have, and it's okay, Peter's okay too, but when we had Member Eater's report, that long-term 10-year plan was right there.
Yep.
Again, we all need to learn, so by reminding you, I hope you don't take offense, because I think all of us sometimes don't quite know where we want to ask a question or, insert something. So the long-term facilities was in Kelly's report, and we might have, and then, all players would have been here at the table to talk, but 100,000 is that monetary level where anything over that it comes to a board HR business meeting, and then under that, you move forward with the things you need to get done.
I guess I would offer if we could, I think our recollection is 100,000. And I guess it'd be best if we make sure that we come back to the board with the exact information. I would ask the alternate to provide the accurate information. I believe the 100,000 is correct, but we want to make sure that we're accurate in what we're commenting on, so that you have the information that you need, and the other questions that you asked are related to authority related to bids. So I guess I would ask the board for the opportunity for us to circle back as an admin team and prepare that information. And as Superintendent Maggot said, there'll be several opportunities for us to have deeper dialogue. But I want to clarify that I believe that 100,000 is correct, but I would prefer that we actually review our documents and information.
And I'm sorry, my goal was to ask that question earlier in the resolution, but the discussion part wasn't, but anyway, it's all good. Thank you.
Member Mesa.
My recollection is those are resolutions that we passed at the first meeting, our organizational meeting. back in January. So that information can be found there as people are looking to gather that information.
Yeah, I guess wanted to share in terms of just the whole long-term facilities maintenance 10-year plan. I listened to the HR meeting, but I've been on the board where we all heard kind of the long-range facilities plan when we had another committee structure. And I have to say I kind of missed, as just a board member, not kind of here, because I learned a lot about our buildings through the process. So we may want to consider it being a committee of the whole, just so we all can better understand our buildings and what the real needs are for maintaining them that you and I don't know about, but certainly Brian Brown or our facilities team knows, because that's their job. And so that's just maybe a point of feedback as a way for us to just learn more about the real needs, just like when Danielle gave the example of the hoop, it made me think, oh my God, how many hoops do we have that need to be reviewed in all of our buildings? I started counting in my mind, you know? So as we have this discussion anyways, which is a little different than the amount, but more about kind of the process, that might be helpful for next year. So, or just for another committee of the whole meeting, just to better understand. Thank you.
And then Member Banks, I'll just offer up too, where you can look at bids when I think it's $100,000 too, but we have on our, everything that goes on our consent agenda on our HR business services, we have a spot where we have bids, RFPs, and quotes. So when our facilities puts the bids out that have anything to do with our long-term facilities maintenance plan, if it's above that threshold, that little RFP will first show up where they got called to bids, right? Okay. And then the next place, once they make a determination as to who they want to go with, once they've done our RFP, then you look at the bids, and they'll also be in that section there as well. And then once they figure out what bid they want to accept, then you'll see that under contracts, because we've signed a contract. So that's just, it took me a little bit of a time to figure out where that flow of information is. So it starts out RFP, then bids, and then you'll see it in the contract. So just for...
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think there's like there's not just one person reviewing that, so, yeah.
Moving on to number 12, are there any questions? I think we just had some.
Actually, we still need to vote on that.
And I'm sorry, I had my pen too, if I could just comment.
Okay, and then we didn't vote on the last one? We didn't. On the acceptance of grants?
No, we have a motion and a second.
Oh, okay, thanks. You're good.
So, thinking about the long-term facilities plan, that's why I asked Brian to be here tonight, so I apologize that he left just before we had that question, but I purposely asked him to be here because I know from previous conversations, quite often the board wanted more feedback as a whole group, and I'd be glad for us to reconsider based on board input what your desire is for next year, so we could have a separate committee of the whole on the long-term facilities plan. And then I hope everybody gets in a good mood. We've got stuff coming for my evaluation.
But first we're gonna vote on number 11A, the special resolution for our grants. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of acceptance of the grant award say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. But going down to number 12, are there any questions? No discussion? I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So motion.
So I'm going to say that, so that Member Williams made a motion, Member Zalski makes the second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.